to see all these flowers.
Almost showtime, baby.
It's showtime. We're honoring the founder, the man, Fred Jones.
Indeed, this would be a night to remember because it was a founder's salute celebrating the life and legacy of Fred Jones Jr., founder of the Southern Heritage Classic.
We're so happy you decided to join us this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, our MC for the evening is a familiar voice around the Mid-South from radio, newly retired, and has been the voice of the Southern Heritage Classic for all of its 28 years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our MC for the evening, Mr. Tom Prestigiacomo.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like to introduce to you the color guard from Booker T. Washington, ROTC. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise and remain standing for the Booker T. Washington ROTC color guard. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a founder salute to our honoree, Mr. Fred Jones, Jr. Drum roll, please. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We invite you to watch the screens. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the blessing of our occasion, please welcome the pastor of Freedom's Chapel Christian Church, Dr. Rosalind Nichols.
This is indeed a wonderful evening. I have known Fred for a very long time, longer than we can count at this point. I am very grateful for this opportunity to both bless this occasion and this meal and this fellowship. There's a passage of scripture that I think speaks to this evening. It is found in Philippians, the 4th chapter. It says, "Finally, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, if there's any excellence or anything worthy of praise, think on these things." Fred, you have been true. You have been honest. You have been just. You have been pure in your execution. You have been lovely. You have given us and our community a good report. You are a man of virtue, and so on this evening we take time to give you your due and your praise. Bow your heads for a moment of prayer. Loving and gracious God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the life and the legacy of Fred Jones, Jr. We thank you for what he has poured out into our community, for how he has inspired, how he has lifted us up, and how he has reminded us to think on the things that truly matter. We thank you that he is committed not only to the Southern Heritage Classic, not only to education, but he is committed to lifting up and to building up and to sending forth. And so on this evening, as we celebrate him, we ask that you will pour back into him all that he has poured out into all of us, that you will restore, that you will fill, that you will refresh, so that he will continue to run and not be weary, to walk and not faint. We also believe, Lord, that the best is still yet to come. So bless the evening, that it may be a nourishment to our spirits, and bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies. It is all in the name of the one who created us in your image and in your likeness, the one who restores and redeems us. We are your children, all of us, and we give thanks, and we say amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Jones Jr. has always been a savvy businessman. He started his career in banking but transitioned into the entertainment industry as a tour manager in the 1970s. He eventually would go on to own several businesses in advertising and concert promotions. You may remember E. Magwood and Associates, Star Entertainment, and Top Ticket. Fred has managed and produced events for many in entertainment. His career as a concert promoter extended well into the 80s, the 90s, the new millennium, and even today. He continues to promote shows at venues in Nashville, too, like the famous Ryman Auditorium and the Bridgestone Arena, and of course here in Memphis at the FedEx Forum and the Orpheum Theater. To introduce our first guest is my pleasure. We share a couple of things in common. We both have a desire to win the Kentucky Derby. Not as a runner, but as a horse owner. We also share the same birthday. If you didn't give him a birthday present on March the 7th, you can give him a good round of applause now. Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Halloran.
Well, thank you very much, Tom, and we do share a couple of things. We are both celebrating our birthday on March 7th, which just was a few weeks ago, and we do both have an ownership and a few horses that haven't done very well for either one of us. I was asked to kick off the event tonight by reflecting on a part of Fred Jones's life, career, and contribution to our city that I know very well, and I think most of you know somewhat. But let me tell you, going back in history, back in the 70s and 80s, the Orpheum was almost knocked down. It was almost ready for the wrecking ball when a few people decided to save it, and we weren't too sure what we were going to do with it. But we bought it, and then I was hired to come on and raise the money to see if we couldn't rejuvenate it to its grandeur of 1928. And I had a lot of help. I had a lot of very supportive contributors, companies, corporations, and volunteers. But the one element that I needed more than anything was someone to bring quality programs to the Orpheum, and to get people to come in before it was even remodeled and redecorated was a test. But one of the individuals that in fact the only individual, to be perfectly honest, of our local community that rallied and brought us the business that brought people downtown. In 1980, there weren't a lot of people coming downtown. The Peabody wasn't open. The Orpheum hadn't been renovated. Beale Street was completely shut down. The only restaurant that people went to down there was the Rendezvous. But it started to turn around because we had the programming of a high class and quality that Fred Jones brought to us. He not only brought all of the Tyler Perry series of Medea programs, but he brought concerts like Stephanie Mills and Gladys Knight, Jennifer Hudson, people that really had a substantial face in the entire community of the entertainment world. So I want to make sure that Fred knows how much we appreciated all of the things that he did. We have some statistics on Fred, and I brought them with me. And this long list is not fake news. This is actually right. And we haven't heard a lot of that lately, so I'm going to just show it to you. I'm just going to show it to you, but I got to be careful because if I go over all 110 events that Fred has brought to the Orpheum, he's going to want a reduction in his rent, so I'm not going to go over that. So I think that there's one thing that I want Fred and all of you to know. The Orpheum wouldn't be the same if it hadn't have been for Fred Jones. I don't say that casually. I mean it, and I've told Fred that so many times. I've called him on the golf course and told him how good he's been to us. But I do want you to know that we are looking forward to that relationship continuing. And so I was only given 3 minutes to speak, and I think I've got about 25 seconds left. But I want to give Fred a little caution. Fred's 70 years old. He just had his birthday a couple months ago. I turned 75 2 weeks ago. I don't look it, I know. But I probably will before the night's over. But let me tell you what happened to me after I turned 70. It was all downhill. I had a pacemaker and a defibrillator and 5 stents put in my heart. My heart weighs 11 pounds now. And then I had 2 broken ribs, a fractured eye socket with 4 fractures. I had a broken foot, a knee replaced, and I got told that I had a severe case of COPD. So Fred, take care of yourself. The next 5 years are important, buddy. And Memphis is depending on you. We love you. Thank you so much for all you do for our community.
I first met Fred in 1971, I think it was, at Union Planters Bank. When I would go there every day for Stax Records, and you know, we got to know each other, and he was always willing to help me, and was always, even to the point where when I didn't call him, he was calling me to see if I needed anything. And every time I would go there, he would be the one that I would do business with, because I had previously been doing business with the manager of the bank. And when Fred came in, he kind of took over, you know. I guess he was the assistant manager at the time. And he was willing and able and always eager to help me. So I was looking for Fred Jones and calling before I got there. And when I didn't call him, he got to the point where he was calling me. So I was looking for someone, and Fred was the first one that came to my mind when he said, we need to try to find someone to try to give you a hand. And I said, well, I think I got the right person. The guy at the bank, his name is Fred Jones. And then Isaac met him, and I think he agreed. And my brother got married, and what I remember really funny about that, Isaac and Fred, neither one of them drank alcohol. And that particular evening, they both had a glass of Lancers. And boy, did we see another side of Fred Jones that evening. He was so funny. So I think that broke the ice that day, and just all became really, really close friends. And Isaac liked him, and I liked him already. And he just came, it's like, hey, what about that guy Fred Jones? What you think about him? I said, let's bring him on, and that's what happened.
Fred called and approached me with an idea that he was wanting to start his own business. I was a little skeptical, but he was a dreamer and still is. So I accepted. He started E. Magwood and Associates, which was a small advertising agency, out of the living room of his mother's and father's home. I was working a regular full-time job. In the evenings, I would go to the Jones residence and set up books, make phone calls, and do whatever he needed done to get the business together. And we moved from there to Star Entertainment. Had a little office in the Nancana Corporate Center. And it was at that time he began working with the Isley Brothers. I used to really enjoy him leaving town on the weekends with the Isley Brothers because he would leave his car with me. He had this little ugly Pacer, but it gave me plenty of freedom on the weekends, and I burned up all the gas I could and put as many miles on it as I could, because on the weekends that was my car.
Whenever we would play Memphis, we always sold out. And when we got ready to do our own tours, that is paying for for everything, it was suggested that we use somebody named Fred Jones. And who's that? Remember, y'all do well in Memphis, right? It's like, that's him.
That's right. It was just successful all the way, all the way. We just had all kind of fun, and he became like another brother to us, And we stayed together, I don't know how many years. He was one of the smartest black men that we met at that time. And it was sellouts everywhere, Just he became one of us.
Yeah, and he was extraordinary.
Yeah.
He made an essential contribution for where we were trying to go in terms of our tours. So he was focused, and he was, different compartments. It's like, if it's not time for that now. It's time for this.
I remember when he started with the classics, and was talking about it, and he was talking about putting it together, and we just sitting and listening, and talking about the Super Bowl and all the football teams and things that they done. And we knew then, so man, it's gonna be hard. That he wanted to try that, and and that was a thing that he tried, and put a lot of things off. Stopped doing a lot of things, stopped booking a lot of shows. He would book some shows, but his heart was into, I'm gonna do this thing with the classics. Every year we would get something in the mail.
Yeah.
All right. And he did so, and we really had to applaud him for that. And that took all of his time some time.
Thank you.
Thank you, man, for all those wonderful years. We learned a lot. When I say we learned a lot, for being together, and I like to thank him for all that, and all the fun we had with every one of the brothers. We always have a great friendship.
Yes.
One of the best friendships.
Yeah.
Fred and I first met in Nashville, Tennessee in 1978. I was producing Teddy Pendergrass's tour, and Fred was the local promoter and contact for Nashville and Memphis, but Nashville was where I met Fred. Fred and I are very good friends, number one, and I've had a very productive business relationship for 30 plus years. and it just continues. We've done a lot of tours together, a lot of shows together. I'd say starting with Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, Prince, Rick James, R. Kelly, Earth, Wind and Fire, Charlie Wilson. Presently we're doing Escape, Chem, Fantasia. I'd like to congratulate Fred on 35 plus years in the business and all the many shows we've done together and the many successes and the one or two failures that we have had. Congratulations, Fred, and the best to you in the future.
Any way that I can tell stories is going to be great for me. I'm in the middle of an interview and you just walking up in here on camera, Fred Jones. Hold on just a second till I'm finished with the interview. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Memphian Fred Jones has been promoting Tyler Perry plays nearly 2 decades.
I remember I couldn't even pronounce Medea. When he was talking about, I'm gonna do this next play gonna be Medea, we were trying to figure out what to say.
What is Madia? Madia, we're gonna have Madia over here. In the beginning, when nobody knew who I was or even believed in what I was doing, he was right there saying, okay, come to Memphis, we can help you out over here.
Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, for your musical entertainment, please welcome Trio Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, Trio Plus. Fred Jones Jr. has never shied away from giving back to the community. He recognizes how much this community and the city of Memphis has given to him, and he's always willing to answer the call to serve when asked. Fred has given to many charitable, educational, and community organizations. One such recipient has been his alma mater, the Booker T. Washington High School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the principal of BTW, Mrs. Alicia Kiner. You guys are awesome. Do you still need that pen?
Good evening. It's so nice to be here. I was sitting there looking at the last video and listening to the people, and I leaned over and I asked my assistant principal, I said, why in the world am I on program with all of these just superstars and super big names? And then I remembered, it's because of the Booker T. Washington High School and Fred Jones's love for his alma mater. So it's not me on program, it's BTW. The other thing that I did notice is that many people I've talked to tonight and I've listened to, they've known him for years and years, 40 and 50 years. Well, since I'm only 25 years old, I'm trying to figure out where everybody started. It's impossible for me to have known him that long, but I did meet him when I came to BTW in the early 2000s. And I learned a lot from Mr. Jones in his efforts, or in his successful efforts, endeavors to give back to BTW. One thing is I learned about his love for his school. Look, ain't no party like a BTW party, because a BTW party don't stop. See, somebody know? Yes. And there are no alumni like BTW's alumni, especially Fred Jones. Y'all give it up for him one more time. He demonstrates his love for BTW with his loyalty. See, love is an action verb, just in case y'all didn't know. I ain't gonna be here long, but it does stuff. And his love, he puts in action by the things that he does. And what I'm most impressed with is that he doesn't want to hear about it again. He wants to do it, he wants to help, he wants to support, and that's very impressive. Most of all, though, I've noticed his love, his loyalty, but most of all, I've noticed his leadership. Our motto at BTW is, we are tops, we lead, and others follow. That's right. And Fred Jones epitomizes the leadership part of their motto. He's living it out right now. Leaders build people up. Leaders, they come in, and I think he and I have used this like a stealth bomb. You don't see them coming. They just show up. They support. They listen. They lend the kind of hand that you need to lend to grow and to be supported. Whatever I have called him for, and sometimes I don't have to call. He just says, look, I know this is going on, so this is what we're going to do. I'm galvanizing the troops, and this is going to happen. I have always been impressed with the way that he loves and that he leads others to show love towards BTW. I could not pass up the opportunity to be here and say thank you in front of the group. We've said it, I've said it privately, but I want people to know how important it is for you to support kids. He comes in and he mentors. He's sitting down, he's talking to kids, he's doing the real hard work of pouring into other people's children and making sure that they are successful. So mentorship and philanthropy goes way beyond just giving of your finances, but it comes from giving of your time. So thank you, Fred, for all of the things that you've done for us. We love you back. And we intend to continue to show you that love daily. Thank you.
Fred Jones and I met in 1995 while I was working at WMC Radio, and I had already heard that he was the man in town to do the type of production work that I was used to doing. I'm formerly Ray Charles's road manager. And I gave Fred one of my resumes, and Fred called me, and we did our first show at the Coliseum, and everything was a success. And now 20 years later, we're partners in this, and have been doing the Southern Heritage Classic continuously throughout the years. And Fred is like a big brother to me. I'm also over the vendors that sell items at the Southern Heritage Classic on the fairgrounds, t-shirts, hats, novelty items. And these vendors are your mom and pop stores or stations. They come from all over the country, and there's a small minimum fee that we keep the fee down. Fred wants the fee to stay down so that mom and pop can participate. But the Southern Heritage Classic gives them opportunity that they may make their whole year's income at the Classic, because you could make up to $10,000 to $15,000 selling your gear out there with, 50,000 people. And Fred is always, actually when he put me over the vendors, he said, make it like a festival, Joe. And I'm like, wow, okay, you really want me to do that? He's like, yeah, give people opportunity. And I've had vendors over the years call me and thank me, and I turn it to Fred. We started an after-school enrichment program called GANG Inc. It's an acronym for Gospel at New Generation. Our mission is to assist youth with their academics and spiritual growth to become productive citizens in our community. Well, when Fred heard about it, he was intrigued and very supportive, and he was one of our first donors to help us put on a back-to-school Peace and Unity Festival to bring the community together and to provide the young people that were going to school with school supplies. And over the years, Fred has always been a donor and has always been a contributor to the things that we do in the community. We've had other rallies and different things in the community for the youth and the at-risk children in the city, and Fred Jones has always been a full supporter. The other thing about Fred, he didn't want me to put his name on the brochures. He didn't want, it wasn't about him. It was about the work we were doing and that the work was successful.
Hi, I'm Claudette Boyd. I'm the president of the Orange Mile Parade Committee. We started the parade committee first doing Christmas parade in our Orange Mile community. And I was thinking one day, Why not have a parade during the Classic, which is the biggest event in the city, so our people can have a part of it? I met Mr. Fred Jones, we talked about it, and in 2000, he agreed. At that time, we started the first salute to the Southern Heritage Classic Parade in downtown, beautiful Orange Mound, Tennessee. And it's been a huge success ever since then. We've had a good working relationship. He's been an integral part of our parade success, and the Orange Mound community just loves it. The entire city, Memphis, Mid-South region. Now we have one of the biggest parades in the Mid-South area during the Southern Heritage Classic. And since then, it's been 17 years that we've enjoyed our Southern Heritage Classic Parade in the Orange Mound community. And it's all due to Fred and his being able to communicate with us, and being able to be part of our decision making, and being an integral part of what's going on in Memphis. The people in Orange Mound are indebted to him. Last time he was in the parade, he was one of our grand marshals. The people actually ran up to him and said, "Mr. Jones, don't let them take this parade out of Orange Mound." And he told them, he assured them at that time, we will not move the parade out of Orange Mound. We will always be a part of the community. You know, Fred Jones is a one-of-a-kind person. You just don't get a chance to meet these kind of people in your lifetime who have a dream and fulfill his dream and include a whole community of people within his dream. That's the good thing about, you know, being with Fred Jones and the Southern Heritage Classic. It's not about him, it's about the entire community. All the people that it serves, all the people who come, all the people who enjoy it, all the people who learn entrepreneurship, all the dreams that he has projected his dreams into our dreams. So now a community is able to dream about what we can accomplish in Memphis, Tennessee. And for that, I thank you, Fred, and we all thank you.
Hello, Fred. Congratulations on 29 years of dedicated service to the city of Memphis. We thank you for the vision, and I thank you for letting me be a part of your vision for the energy that you have brought to the city of Memphis through the Southern Heritage Classic. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and we all appreciate you for the entertainment, the fun, the laughter. Thank you, and continue the good work.
Congratulations, Fred. I'm so proud of you. Tonight is your night. We honor you. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you for the past 27 years. It's been a blast. Thank you for the opportunity to meet so many entertainers and just have fun doing this. Again, congratulations.
Congratulations, Fred. You've done a marvelous job. You see what the results of strategic planning will do is you've come a long way. You've come a long way for doing your planning and getting your resources for your sponsorship and your attendantship, and you've just done a lot of good for Memphis. I want to wish you well, wish you Godspeed, and hope you have 29 more years.
Fred, tonight it's all about you. So deserving, so worthy, and so overdue. It has been an honor working with you and seeing your vision come to light. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. It's certainly been gratifying to be a part of such a wonderful organization and event. Thanks again, and enjoy yourself.
Congratulations, Fred, from your A-team.
Fred's Angels, I would guess. The Tennessee State Tigers have played in every classic game. Let me pause for you. The Tennessee State Tigers. Did you put all TSU over here and all JSU over here? And you're right at the 50-yard line. I think that is very diplomatic, sir. From the top. The Tennessee State Tigers have played in every classic game since its inception in 1990, winning 17 of the 28 games they've played. Over 100 Tennessee State alumni have played in the NFL, including Ed Too Tall Jones. September 2018 will mark TSU's 29th year in the Classic. We are honored to have with us tonight the president of Tennessee State University, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Glenda Glover.
It was certainly nice of God to create a Fred Jones. A man of character, a man of intelligence, a man of astuteness, a man of integrity. God certainly knew what he was doing. I am Glenda Glover. I serve as president of Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. I am a hometown grown from Memphis, Tennessee, Boxtown area. Fields Road in South Memphis. It goes to show that God can do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or imagine, hope, or think. God knew what he was doing when he created Fred Jones. He created someone who is unparalleled and unprecedented. I want to tell you, we have some key people in the audience today who recognize the contributions of Fred Jones. I have with us today our Southern Heritage Award-winning football coach, Coach Rod Reed. Would you stand, please? And we have with us the TSU famous alum from the TSU football field to the Dallas Cowboys, Ed Too Tall Jones. You stand, please. We're here celebrating you, Fred Jones. You know, I said God created Fred Jones. Well, after he created him, he blessed him and gave him a vision. He knew what he was creating. He gave him a vision to do this classic. And I met Fred Jones about maybe 15, 16 years ago when I was at Jackson State University. I embraced the vision then, and now, as president of Tennessee State University, I embrace that vision now. God knew what he was creating. A leader who conceived an idea, and now it has become the classics among classics. In fact, it is the Super Bowl TOO. Fred Jones, we are so honored that you have remained so humble. You know, the more you serve, the more humble you ought to become. The higher God elevates you, the more humble you ought to become. Fred Jones, you have kept that humility, and for that, we love you and honor you. I am honored to be a part of this celebration. I'm looking at God's creation of Fred Jones. He created a man with sight, insight, and farsight. Sight to look on things, insight to look into things, and farsight to look beyond things, the vision of Fred Jones. I'm honored to be a part of this celebration for a man with the educational courage and the spiritual revelation to launch the Southern Heritage Classic, the model, the standard, the incomparable, the unmatched, the economic engine, Fred Jones, God creation. Yes, it was certainly nice of God to create a Fred Jones Jr. We salute you.
Our next speaker is the founding director for the Bureau of Sport and Leisure Commerce here at the University of Memphis. Every year, Dr. Richard Irwin conducts a market assessment on the economic impact of the Classic, our football game, and more. Here tonight to share with us how the Classic generates revenue for the city of Memphis and the region of the Mid-South, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Richard Irwin.
I have the challenge of making research sound interesting to you all. So I'm willing to accept that for this particular event. Having had the opportunity to conduct sport event market research on a local, national, international level for over 20 years, I can safely say that few, if any, events provoke the level of passion associated with the Southern Heritage Classic. Our research has consistently found this infatuation among event patrons, event sponsors, and certainly event producers. It comes to no surprise to you, I'm sure, that the Classic has become an annual ritual for patrons of many ages, and that those event goers have attended, on average, 10 Classics within their lifetime. Likewise, it comes as no surprise that the Classic is far more than a football game, as about 20% of our respondents indicated an affiliation with either of the participating teams, and in fact, a third have no intention of leaving the tailgate spot. In the Liberty Bowl parking lot, ultimately swelling the game day population to over 70,000 enthusiastic Classic patrons. More than half of those have been visitors to the Memphis area, spending on average 2 nights, resulting in thousands of hotel room bookings, food and beverage purchases before, during, and after their tailgate, gasoline fill-ups, game tickets, concessions, and too many miscellaneous expenses to list during the Classic weekend. Coupled with event sponsor activation, media, and participating team spending, the total lifetime impact of the Classic on the local economy now exceeds $500 million. I'll repeat that another way. That's $500 million. However, there's more I'd like to share. I know that number is important, but it's always intrigued me that the research that Fred requested for the Classic often has provided me and my colleagues a laboratory to test concepts and theories, often resulting in rich and publishable data. And that's kind of geekish for the rest of you, but it is important. These topics, while these topics have ranged from the aforementioned economic impact studies, as well as the risky sponsor recognition and recall studies that many of folks I've worked with won't dabble in that area, as well as really interesting study on social media usage before, during, and after the game. One study in particular really stood out and perhaps best exemplifies the real Classic value. We set out to test some economic theories to determine how much experiencing the event was worth to patrons, which was pretty novel research in the sport event environment. The research protocol required us to ask respondents how much they would need to be paid not to be there. We sampled the methods at a few other events, including the Final Four, and had some interesting results where people could name their price and were willing to accept sometimes up to a few $1,000s to forgo the experience. Many of them, I know that sounds, and occasionally we confuse people thinking we were ticket scalpers, but this really was market research. But these findings were nothing like what we found at the Classic. Way too many Classic respondents, who, by the way, provided responses to all other survey items, were not able to give us an exact price, nor even think of a scenario where they wouldn't attend the event. Essentially, we broke the model. It became very hard for our team to calculate infinity. Can't put a number on that one. So when the paper was published in the International Journal of Sport Management, we chose a title that captured their typical response: "You couldn't pay me enough." Understanding Consumer Valuations and Ticket Price Efficiencies for the Southern Heritage Classic was the title of that particular paper, but it really captured what people felt. It seems as though these findings demonstrate that the Classic's impact exceeds well beyond the dollars poured into the local economy every early September and illustrate the strength of the bond between the Classic and its impassioned community. It has been a real pleasure for me to work with Fred and his staff over the years. It is always reassuring to know that the data was going to influence services provided to fans and sponsors. Fred, thank you for including me tonight as well, and I wish you many more years of success with the Classic.
All right, let's see if we're going in the right direction here. I believe it's... Yes. Hey.
All these
Oh, come
people
on.
doing here.
Turn your microphone
Great
up.
day in the morning. Hey.
Hey.
I tell y'all what I want. I'm looking for Freddie Jones. Is he here? Fred Jones. Is he here? Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Jones.
No, that's not Fred.
Oh, Fred Jones. You Fred Jones?
Last time I checked.
So that's what you look like up close. You sound just like yourself. Do you know who I am? Wait, let me go up here. Y'all raise that up there so I can see the band. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Jones. Let's hear it from him. All right. Fred, do you know who I am? Okay, let me tell you something, Fred. You ain't gonna believe this, but you and my daddy, y'all know what happened to? Well, you and my daddy, as a matter of fact, my dad was the first performer at the Southern Heritage Classic. Do you remember now? You still don't remember? Well, I brought you a gift, Fred. Maybe that'll help you remember. I got you a gift. Me and the fellas down at the pool hall chipped in. We bought you a diamond watch. But I had to pawn it to get here. So do you know who I am now, Fred? Be flat. You still don't know who I am. My daddy was the king of the blues. Ladies and gentlemen, B.B. King. Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone away. Thrill is gone, Fred. Thrill is gone away. Baby, you done me wrong. I'm talking about you now. And you'll be sorry someday. Hey! Now, do you know I am Fred? Let me tell y'all about Fred. Let me tell you something, Fred. I was looking at Baba OJ. He got a tux on. He didn't mean to do that. But Fred, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell y'all. Me and Fred used to date the same woman. And I'm trying to see if she here tonight. Wait a minute, I think that's all right there. Okay, I'm just joking. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to do this. Me and Fred did our best to try to keep the woman. But Stormy, the woman went off and left both of us. And Fred, tonight, I want you to know that I wrote this song just for you in hopes that we would get her back and in hopes that she ain't here tonight. Because the song go like this right here. Y'all give me a hand. Been downhearted, baby. Ever since the day that we met. How many of y'all fellas got a woman like that? I said, I've been downhearted, baby. Ever since the day that we met. Get my good side. How blue can you get? The answer's right here in my heart. Hey, Fred, this is what she did me. Evil when I'm with you, baby. And you are jealous when we apart. I'm almost through with it, but let me tell you this. So evil. Evil moving on with you, baby, and you are jealous. The woman got jealous when we were apart. I got to go. But let me ask you, how blue can you get? The answer's right here in my heart. Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, put your hands together. Come on. Hey, Fred, this is for you right here. Hey! You in G. Everybody put your hands together. I'm gonna do a verse for you, Fred. Somebody ate my roast beef. Hey, everybody, let's have some fun. Only live once, and when you're done, let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. I don't care if you're young or still can get together. Let the good time roll. Hey, look here. Don't sit down mumbling. Don't talk no trash. You want to have a ball, you got to spend a little cash. And let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. I got to go. I don't care if you're young or old. Still can get together. And let the good time roll. Wait a minute. Hey, everybody. Fred Jones in town. He got 2 football teams, and they riding the clown. Don't let nobody play Jackson State and Tennessee State cheat. I'm tired. They got 2 football and a field goal. Hey, good time roll. Let the good time, come on, put your hands together. I don't care if you're young or old. Still can get together, let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. Good time roll. I can hear you. Good time roll. Let the good time roll. I don't care if you're young or old. Still can get together. Let the good. Can y'all do it one more time? I got to go. Roll, roll. Roll, roll. Roll, roll. Wow! One more time. Let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. Let the good time roll. Let the good times roll. Hey, good time roll. Here's Penny Hardaway. I don't care if you're young or old. Still can get together. Still can get together. And let the good time roll. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kenny Lackey.
I want to present to you this wonderful present, and I want you to know that it's probably not in there, because like I said, I had to pawn it to get here. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred James Jones.
Kenny Lackey, ladies and gentlemen. On January 2nd, 1948, the high temperature in Memphis, Tennessee was 36 degrees. It was a windy and frosty day when Lou LeMay and Freddie Jones welcomed their 4th of 5 children, Fred Jones Jr. His parents instilled old-school values in him and his siblings, such as keeping your word, being on time, being dependable, hardworking, disciplined, loyal, ethical. He was reared in Claiborne Homes Housing Project, a product of Memphis City Schools, a 1966 graduate of the Booker T. Washington High School. While he was in school, Fred was a trombone player in the band. He was a sportsman playing football, baseball, and basketball. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1971 from Memphis State University. Many of his friends would describe him as quiet, reserved, serious, and good-natured. Fred is the father to 6 children, grandfather to 19, great-grandfather to 10. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please take a look at the man, Fred Jones, Jr.
Hello, I'm Doug Jones, youngest brother of Fred Jones Jr. Our parents instilled in us that we always should do our very best at whatever job that we were trying to do, even when we were small. Consequently, when we were going to school, one of the big things that they were, I guess, for more than anything else was try to be sure that you do your very best job at school. When you come home, complete your homework, and if you have time to play outside, you can play outside. Also, when we got a chance to see our grandmother for the first time, that was sort of, I can't remember how long ago that's been. But as country boys, we were not that. We were totally just completely city. And to go to the rural areas of Alabama, where people still take baths outside, people still do not have inside toilets. It was a big transition for us to get used to. But over the weeks that we spent in the summers that we spent in Alabama, we got a chance to adjust, and we learned a lot just from our grandparents and our parents. One thing I can say about Fred from early on, he was always been one of these type of people that wanted to work, wanted to earn his own money and be independent. And I can honestly say that as growing up in the project areas of Clayton Homes years ago, that having a car in the house never happened until he got a car. So we were always either catching a bus or walking wherever we went. So when things started to happen good for him, it sort of happened good for the family. So still though, he told me one day, one thing that he really wanted more than anything else is to have an event where people would actually be waiting in line to go see. I guess it started for him back when he was a senior at that time Memphis State University and working part-time at Union Planters Bank, and also dealing as a loan officer in charge of the Stax Records accounts. He got a chance to meet a lot of the artists, and from that's where I think his music introduction so far as management started. But in 1971-72 was his biggest break when he was hired on as Isaac Hayes' business manager. From that particular start on, he got a chance to travel around the world, be with one of the #1 artists in the world, which at that time was Isaac Hayes, and learn a lot of things about the music industry that he uses right today here in 2017. He's always been one of these ones that was energetic, liked to have his own money, liked to do his own thing. And then he started doing concert promoting. It was something different about him that stood out among the 5 of us more than any others. He was one of these ones who always wanted to take charge and can handle whatever situation that came his way. As his little brother, I must say he tried to keep a lot of things that were not good away from me that I didn't see. And he's still one of these ones who always believed that families should be always first before anything else. He still loves me and I love him. He loves his children to death. As I close this out, I just want to say that my brother's one of the best. So if you get a chance to know him, you'll find that out yourself. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Leslie Jones. On behalf of myself, my brothers and my sisters, Derek, Nathaniel, Nedra, Madeline, and Carrie, and all your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, thank you for the example that you have set, for the love and care that you have provided our family. We love you and we appreciate you. And congratulations on your many, many years of success. And for me, I'm just proud of you. Love you, Pops.
My story about Fred Jones Jr. is, I'll make it as short as I possibly can. When my radio job ended in April of 2010, a friend of mine and I were talking, and he said, you know, you love horses. He said, you might go buy a couple and learn how to run them and learn how to clean them. And so I took off for Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky is my hometown, which made it really easy. The spring meet was going on at Churchill Downs. I hooked up with a trainer. I was a hot walker. I was a groom's assistant. I'm having a great time in Kentucky, and we moved to Delaware, where the summer racing is. And I'm sitting on a bale of hay one day, and I realized in July that I hadn't told Fred that I wasn't going to be able to be at the race, at the football game, which was a surprise to me because I put that on my calendar. I just didn't bring my calendar with me. I was in a different world. So I called Maxine, and Maxine said, oh my God, wait a minute. And Fred got on the phone, and I said, Fred, I said, I can't be at this year's game. I said, I'm in Delaware. I said, I can't afford to drive all the way back from Delaware to Memphis. He said, Tom, we can't do the game without you. And I looked at my phone, and I put it back to my ear, and I said, that's a lie. He said, yeah, I know, but I'm going to send you a plane ticket anyway. When you're here, your family is an overused word, but I've never felt anything less than being a family member of the Southern Heritage Classic. And Fred, wherever you are, I don't know where your table is, thank you so much. Fred brought his vision of the Southern Heritage Classic to life in 1990. The Classic has evolved into a weekend celebration of cultural pride with the Tennessee State and Jackson State football game, tailgating festivities, the Classic Parade in Orange Mound. They don't mention the golf tournament in here, the concerts, today's top charting artists. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at what the Classic is all about. And not one photograph of Wavy Dave in there anywhere. Jackson State University men's football team has a heralded history, winning 16 Southwest Athletic Conference titles. The Jackson State Tigers have played in 25 of the 27 Classic games, and every year they bring thousands of alum, fans, supporters to Memphis. Tonight we're honored to have the president of Jackson State University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. William Bynum, Jr.
Good evening, everyone. As you've just heard, I am William B. Bynum, Jr., the self-described God-loving, God-fearing, blessed, and highly favored 11th president of the I love, Jackson State University. What an awesome, awesome blessing indeed. Now, I know some of you are sitting there and say you're not used to university presidents uplifting God Almighty in public. But you see, I don't know your story, but let me just share one aspect of my story. You see, I had a praying grandmother and a Holy Ghost-filled, fire-baptized mother. You see, I was born and raised in the projects of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And my parents separated when I was in kindergarten, and my mother raised 8 of us, 5 girls and 3 boys in those projects. And you see, when God Almighty takes you from that environment and he makes you a 2-time university president, I think he deserves some praise and glory for that. And I try to do it every opportunity I get. I understand because of his grace and his mercy that I get to lead this great institution, Jackson State University, Mississippi's public urban research university, one of the largest HBCUs in the country, the top 15th ranked HBCUs academically, home of 4 now NFL Hall of Famers, Peyton, Barney, Slater, and now Dr. Doom, Robert Brazile. And of course, home of the summa cum laude bands, the sonic boom of the South. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to challenge your mind and change your life, we encourage you to come join us at Jackson State University. All right, now if I spend a minute talking about myself and a minute talking about JSU, now we're going to spend a couple of minutes talking about Fred. Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen, I had the good pleasure, the good fortune when I first was named president of Jackson State on May 31st of 2017. The Memphis alumni chapter was, I can't remember, the first or second chapter that I had an opportunity to visit to come aboard. And of course, they made sure that they invited Fred to come meet the new president. But you see, as we were talking about earlier at the table, you know, the world used to be 6 degrees of separation. But in this day, you know, it's more like 2 degrees now with social media. And before I even got to meet Fred, the man in the flesh, I had 2 of his very good friends who I knew well tell me about him. And that was Willie Gregory and Don Roman, longtime friends, and said, you're about to meet an outstanding brother that we know very well. And sure enough, Fred came out to the meeting for the Memphis alumni chapter, had a chance to put a face to the man who had provided millions of dollars to Jackson State University through the Southern Heritage Classic. And thank you. And of course, at the end of the meeting, after I gave him my spiel, I got an opportunity to see the kind of smart businessman that Fred is. Fred pulled me aside and said, you know what, Doc, I want to help you out, and I want to make sure you get off to a good start in your presidency. So I'm going to give you $25,000 to help get started. And sure enough, a couple of weeks sitting in the office, the check arrived for $25,000, as he had promised. Now, I must admit that $25,000, of course, was for student scholarship. I must admit I misheard Fred. I thought Fred said he was going to give me $25 to use however I wanted. And I thought it was going to get to go in the president's discretionary fund. But I misheard him. And so since it didn't go in the president's discretionary fund, ladies and gentlemen, I drove all the way from Jackson myself in my own personal car as opposed to a driver and a limo. But here's also, I want to say that I had a chance to experience my first Southern Heritage Classic. Wow. Wow, what an experience. What an experience. I'd heard about it over the years, what a great weekend it was, and I got to experience it with my wife and my family, and I can't tell you what an awesome opportunity it was. Stephanie Mills, Jeffrey Osborne, Babyface, Fantasia, the Orange Mound Parade. What an awesome indeed. But I didn't realize what a bad man Fred was until we left the hotel for the game. And all of a sudden, of course, the big SUVs pulled up and all, and then we rolled off into the highway, and Lord have mercy, they shut down the highway. And I said, wow, that's a bad man there. That man got it rolling. He done shut down the interstate highway. That's a bad brother. That's indeed a brother I need to keep getting to know. So ladies and gentlemen, again, Fred, on behalf of Jackson State University and our alumni, and especially the Memphis alumni chapter, I want to thank you, brother, for all that you've done on behalf of this great university, and we look forward to many more years in the Southern Heritage Classic. God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Hang on to that champagne. We're going to have a toast in a minute, but first, ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce to you Sakita Monique, Black Butterfly by Sakita Monique and Trio Plus for your entertainment.
Morning light, silken dreams take flight as the darkness gives way to the dawn. You survive, now the moment has arrived, and your dream has finally been born. Black butterfly, sail across the waters. Tell your sons and your daughters what the struggle really is. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher, so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. Ooh. While you slept, the promise was unkept, but your faith was as sure as the stars. Now you're free, and the world has come to see just how proud and beautiful you are. Black butterfly, sail across the waters. Tell your sons and your daughters what the struggle really is. Black butterfly, set the skies on fire. Rise up even higher, so the ageless winds of time can catch your wings. Ooh, butterflies, oh, butterflies. Ooh, butterfly, butterfly, butterfly.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here to make the award presentation and our toast to our honoree is Fred's longtime friend and Nike executive, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Willie Gregory.
Look, Johnny Taylor. Now, that was so weak, y'all clapping for me. Y'all know y'all got to do better than that. Because if you don't do better than that, I'm going to tell them to strike up a little Johnny Taylor, and I'm going to get Kenny Lackey head. You know, I drink coffee every morning with Kenny Lackey, and damn, I didn't know he was that funny. Let's give it up to Kenny Lackey again. You know, we've heard a lot about my friend. And when I say my friend, I don't take that lightly. But before I tell you about my friend, I just want to say, Dr. Bynum, I hope you do as great a job at Jackson State as you did in Mississippi Valley before we let you go up there to take care of them. All right? And I'm the last guy to Mike Valletta Lewis, so we good with that. But friendship, and I'm gonna go back to my Sunday school class a little bit. Friendship Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, that is not the truth. That is true with Fred Jones, because look at this room. If he falls down, he's got a lot of friends to pull him up. You know, I could stand up here a long time and tell you a lot of stories about my friend Fred Jones, but one of the things that I remember, but first of all, everybody from the zip code of 38126, would you please stand up? And from the Booker T. Washington High School. That's right, turn the lights up so you can see them. But I remember Fred and I walking to football practice in the summertime. We had two-a-days. It was in the morning at 6 o'clock and in the evening at 4 o'clock. And we both stayed in the Claiborne homes. And so we'd meet and we'd walk. And as we walked together on those hot days to practice, I remember and I realized that this guy is something special. And that was back in 19... But he is something special. And to be able to have a friend that you saw that had a dream, and he turned that dream into a reality through a lot of hard knocks, a lot of people that said that he could not do it. A lot of people, as the young kid said, that threw shade on him, that tried to prevent the Southern Heritage Classic from being the success that it is now. Dr. Irwin, there's an old saying that says, numbers don't lie. And for this city of Memphis, two brothers, one of them is Fred Jones and the other one is Penny Hardaway, has come to the rescue of the city of Memphis. You can say what you want to say, but every second week in September, everybody's asking, hey, you got tickets to the Classic? What time we gonna meet at the Classic? And that's been going on for 28 years. So I just want to say to my brother, my childhood friend, my confidant, I'm sure all of you guys have heard the story about being in the huddle my first game I ever started, and he told me, he said, you better get your shit together and come on and play. And we've been great friends ever since. And he even at our regular eating place, where's Miss Steen at? Miss Steen, raise your hand. Everybody asks us, why y'all eat at Miss Steen's every day? We say, why not? But Fred runs the table up there, Curtis. What you call him, MMF. I won't repeat what that is. But Fred, you've done a yeoman's job of the Southern Heritage Classic. You've done a yeoman's job of taking care of your family, and you've been one of the best friends that I have. So if you would be so kind as to stand and grab your glasses. To Fred Jones, a man that had a vision, a man that turned a vision and a dream into a reality. To my friend, your friend, Fred Jones, Jr. Hear, hear. Thank you, Fred. Now, finally, and I know I'm standing between you and to all you ministers in here, benediction. So Reverend Peter Brown of Mount Lebanon Baptist Church has a special award. Fred, come on up. I get to pay you back now. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Come on, stand up, stand up. This is a salute to my friend, and it reads, celebrating the life and legacy of Fred Jones, Jr., a founder's salute. May God bless you, Fred, and continue with 28 more years. Fred Jones, Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
First thing I want to say is I'm glad to see all these flowers. They all look good. I can feel it. I think we've heard all our lives about receiving your flowers. I wish they could have done it when they were alive and people could see them. So I see all of them here tonight. Thank you. I want to get one thing cleared up. I'm glad I got Bobby O.J. here. Bobby's celebrating 35 years at WDIA. Stand, Bobby. So many people thought this was a retirement party. And so you had to get it. If you don't get it from Bobby O.J., then it's not real. So it's only fake news when it comes to the classic and me. I'm not retiring. I got a lot more to do, and for me, you just never know where you're all going to go. But let me thank you. Thank you for the committee for this night. They did a wonderful job. My family is here, and some of the kids and grandkids, and that makes it even more special to be able to share this with them. My granddaughter Kaylin was by the house the other day and kind of used everything for inspiration, and she almost brought a tear to my eye when she said she was so excited to go see her grandfather, and to be able to knowing that you're doing something that you can make your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids proud. That's special. That's really special for me. And Dr. Irwin, Pat Halloran, Dr. Bynum, Glenda Glover, thank you very much for those words. Somebody who, in a lot of ways, have seen this journey, and I made myself a lot of notes, but one of the things, you've seen a lot of things on the tape and what have you, but I want to talk about one part of the journey, because I've had a chance to look backwards, and you're trying to look back 49 years. As Willie and I were doing an interview recently, and we talked about what it was like in 1968 and what it's like in 2018 and 38126 that we dearly love. And it just kind of struck me right then that this journey started in 1968. And the reason I say that is because, and then another reason is that this journey started here at Memphis State University. I flunked all the classes, every one. And I withdrew from school in '68, and they had, of course, the events of 1968, which we all know about. We're celebrating these next few weeks. But I had planned to go work with my father, and he wasn't having it. He said, you got to keep going. You talk about father figures in the house, I had one. I continued to look for a job, and I got a job, and I was talking to Shannon about this. would you hire a guy off the street, flunked out of college, no experience, and they give you a job that day? It probably wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen today. Sometimes people have a lot of experience and a lot of education, and it's still no job. But I got a job. It was because of the events of 1968 that they had to hire somebody who looked like me, regardless of my experience. And we started to work. So that started me on a journey, but I guess they didn't know at the time that I only had one gift, that I can count money, I understand numbers. It's something my grandmother, from 5 years old, I was her banker. And I took that job, and fortunate for me, they moved me out to Bellevue branch where Saks was. And I met Isaac and David and Soul Children and Al Bell and Jim Stewart and started that relationship. But I never would have gotten there if it hadn't been for the events of '68. I'm totally convinced of that now. And you know what the strange thing about it? I started back to school in June of '71. I never came close to flunking another class. So how you can go from someone who didn't get it to somebody who got it overnight. And the strange part about it, and I was kind of reflecting back, they had this survey that they did recently, and they talked about the education level, especially within some zip codes in the community have gone up. Well, I got a degree in finance with a minor in accounting, and they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do with me. So they could hire me in '68 with no experience, no anything, but when I got my degree, we couldn't find a job. But I know God had a plan. Isaac hired me my first day on the job, going to LA, never flown before, had no idea what it was like, it was going to be like, but you can only imagine someone from the South going to sunny California and trying to figure it all out. But that experience proved invaluable because we were able to do things that people only dream about. When people talk about going to the Academy Awards, I can remember exactly where I was when Isaac won the Academy Awards. But the point that I learned in that experience is that it's a process that you got to work at. Because nobody in California know anything about Isaac Hayes, these people from Memphis. In fact, when we go to a screening, they would walk up to me and say, "Boy, you sure look good in the movie." And I had to play it off because she didn't want to embarrass them. I wasn't in the movie. I was just with Isaac, But all of that kind of set the basis for what has now become the Southern Heritage Classic. So when that came about, and I have to give a lot of credit to Bill Thomas, who was Tennessee State, and W.C. Gordon from Jackson State. They entrusted me with the franchise, okay? And you have to have someone believe me, although Dr. Floyd from Tennessee State didn't really believe that I knew what I was doing. So he had to be convinced. But it was that turn, getting involved in the Classic was easy in a way because all the things I had done with the Isley Brothers, with the shows at the Hilton, Lou Rawls and Nancy Wilson was the first one we did over there. We sold them out. Oddie Brothers, in 2 years, we did 88 shows in 2 years, and they trusted me with their franchise. So when it came time for the classic, it was something that you wanted to put everything that you had into it, mainly because it was in Memphis. And I wanted to prove everybody wrong that we could get this done in Memphis, Tennessee. That was my goal. So people ask you, did you think it was going to be like that? Yeah, you think you're going to be that. Every songwriter believed, Bobby, that they had written the #1 song. Listen to my tape. This is the #1. You know, I thought it was going to be #1. Even when we had the events of 2001, when I thought Louise was, you know, she stood in like a real trooper. I remember her telling, you know, I wanted to cry, but I got too much work to do. And we survived all of that. We survived the Katrina. We survived the storm the next year after Katrina, when the city of Jackson they had no electricity. So if they wouldn't sell any electricity, they couldn't sell any tickets. But we still had to do the Southern Heritage Classic. So that's a lot of background of what this journey has been about. But it's always been about Memphis. And Memphis has a reputation in the business that if you can get it done in Memphis, you can get it done anywhere. And I wanted to prove that because I'm from Memphis, you know, and I probably got a lot of stories, and Nedry only gave me a few minutes to talk up here, so I wanted to let's take a time, let's give a little background of that. But I want to give a lot of thanks to my parents, to my heroes. My mother and father gave me everything they had. They didn't leave nothing out. So it became important for me to do everything I could to represent them. And the one thing that my father was adamant about, you got to take care of those children. And that's what I'm going to do. I'll make sure of that. But my heroes are my mother and father. And I would not be standing here with the confidence, with the things that I've been able to be a part of without their support. And for them, I will always thank them. And I'll live every day trying to make sure that my parents are happy, that they can look down on their son and realize that he is not only fulfill a dream, but he's made sure that this family was always intact. I think I've been asked this a lot of time about legacy. My brother Doug, who I love dearly, I call him my rock, he said to me, I won an award here at the University of Memphis, and he said, the better it got for him, the better it got for us. And I thought about it then, and I'm thinking about it now. And I wanted to make sure that the better it gets for me, that I can make it better for somebody else in this community. That's the legacy that I would like to leave. It's not about how many shows you sold out and how many people you, countless number of artists. I mean, they have a listing in the bio. There's probably several hundred more that we didn't even list. but it's about helping out and being a part of this community. In spite of whatever they might say about Memphis, it's still our home. And we need to do everything we can. And Penny, I just want to say to you that we're gonna lift you up, so don't worry about that. And lastly, I want to say, about 3 weeks ago, I heard a song, 2 o'clock in the morning. Most people don't believe I'm up that late, but I find myself being on YouTube, listening to a lot of old music and listening to a lot of stories. Some of them you were around when they were going on, but I heard this song and I wish I could sing it. But if people that know me know I don't like cold weather and I can't sing, so we're not gonna try. But this is the song that I wish you all would listen to the lyrics and take the message from this song. Everybody here and the millions of people who have been a part of what we've been able to do for the last 40-something years around this country. Listen to this song.
Gave me love, you gave me joy I never knew. You turned my whole life around, and I owe it all to you. All I had was just a dream, so far away it seems, but you believed in me. I needed you. Oh, now these tears I cry are from the joy I feel inside, and I know that I'll always love you. You are my beginning, and I know you'll be my end. You're more than a lover. Oh, yes, you are. Okay. My closest friend. And when we are apart.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for some closing remarks. Please welcome to the podium Fred's daughter, Nedra Jones.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to you all. This has been an extremely long process for us. This began well over a year ago that we started this. This evolved out of a conversation I had with my father about his 70th birthday. And we were planning, or at least talking about something fairly simple, small and intimate, and it has evolved into this elaborate, grand affair that you have witnessed and experienced this evening, and I hope you all have enjoyed it. And I hope he has enjoyed it as well. I would just like to take a few minutes to thank all of the individuals that are working behind the scenes, that worked behind the scenes to make this evening possible. I would also like to thank the volunteers, each of the classic ambassadors that served as hostesses this evening. To each of the speakers, thank you. And also to our performers, Trio Plus, Sakita McKinley, Kenny Lackey, round of applause. And of course, I cannot forget our MC, Mr. Tom Prestigiacomo. Give him a round of applause as well. And last but not least, I want to thank each of you, those of you who purchased an individual ticket and those of you who purchased a table. You did not hesitate when we called and we told you what we were attempting to do. And so many of you were just immediate in your response when we told you this was for my father. You said, of course, absolutely, we're a part of it. So thanks to each of you. And stick around for a little bit of music by Trio Plus. Make sure you meet my father in the lobby and take a photograph. So thank you and good night.
And I know you'll be my end. You're more than a lover. Oh, yes, you are my closest friend.